Hi again. I'm going to carry on talking partly about the pattern master that I talked about in my previous video, but also, well, basically I'm going to use it in this video by drafting a basic block for a young girl from this book, Winifred Aldrich's Metric Pattern Cutting. This is an early edition. I have got a more modern edition of it, but this is an early edition. Printed in 1985. It doesn't tell me which version it is, but this was first published in 76. Oh, sorry, this published in 87. Okay, and they're good books. They give you basic standard body measurements, which are slightly outdated now. So you should really check with modern ones if you're going to use basic measurements, standard measurements. But you've got all different things that you can do in these books, which I think is really useful. I've used them all my career. But today we're going to use the easy fitting bodice block, and I'm just going to work through it. It's on, if you do want to copy me, if you've got this edition, it's on page 14 and 15, and it is an easy fitting bodice block. So I'm going to use it as a base for a jacket that I want to make for this person. So what I've done is I've written because this is going to be my master block that I draft, my master pattern, I've written all the information about the person here. So I've put the date so I know when I've drafted it. I should also really put on there that it's the easy fitting bodice block. And then put 1987 WA for Winifred Aldrich, so I know which book it's from. And then I've put the date, I've put who it's for, and then I've put all her information so that it is easy to access while I'm drafting the block. But it also means that when I fold the master up, if I want to reuse it at some point, all the information is written on there, so I can just check it to see whether anything is altered. So I'm just going to, like I say, I'm just going to work through the instructions. They are standard instructions that you just follow through, and you just create this box, this table, and gradually as you start doing the construction lines, you then end up with the block itself. Okay, so I'm going to keep that off screen and read from it as I draft the block. So to start off with, we need to square down from 0 and then square halfway across the block. Now the first thing is that we start at the back neck, so we need to make sure that we start far enough across our piece of paper that we can actually fit that on. So I'm just going to move my piece of paper down so you can see where I'm going. So I'm going to start off with a line here, and then I'm going to just square down. And to square down, I'm using that centre line on my pattern master, so that centre line there, because I know that that's 90 degrees, so I'm using that to just square down, and then I'm going to just use the edge of my pattern master to extend that line, and this line is going to be my centre back. Okay, so that is 0. And then I need to start with 0.1, so 0 to 1 is 1.5 centimetres. So 1 is there. And then 1 to 2 is the armhole depth or the side depth measurement plus 2.5 centimetres. So side depth is 22, and then I've got to add 2.5 centimetres. So I'm going to put my 20 on where 1 is. 20 is there at 0, so I know that is 20. My actual size is 22, so there's my actual size. And then I've got to, on my armhole depth, and then I've got to add on 2.5 centimetres. So there, and that is number 2. The side depth, in case I'm wondering what I'm talking about, is the depth of your armhole, but it's also where your bust line ends up being, because usually the depth of your armhole is where your bust line sits, approximately. not always, but approximately. So we're going to square across the whole block for this, or whole piece of paper. And then the next step, 2 to 3, is half the bust measurement plus 5 centimetres. So my bust measurement is 97. So always have a calculator handy. We've all got calculators on our phones now, so no excuse really. 97 divided by 2 is 48.5 centimetres, and then I need to add 5 centimetres to that. So that is 53.5 centimetres, and that's the width of my block. And the reason we're adding on that 5 centimetres is because we need to allow for ease, so we need to be able to get in and out of the garment. And if we didn't include that, we wouldn't actually get any room, any wiggle room. All clothing has ease in it. With stretch fabrics you have negative, but it's most clothing that we wear you have ease in, so that you can actually fit into it easily. Okay, and what I did there, because I've got to go 53, I make sure that that is at right angles, drew that line, and then I measured across 40, added on 10, added on 3, so 13, and added on a half, and that became my centre front line. So that's my centre front. And that's centre back. Okay, so the next step, and that's number 3 at the front there. So the next step, 3 to 4, so I need to be at the front. So 3 to 4, to find the front top corner, is the same as 0 to 2. 3 to 4 is 0 to 2, and then add 0.3. Okay, so 0 to 2, 24.5, so I need 24 and a half plus 0.3 is 24.8. Usually you'd make a box, but this is just because just a different way of doing it basically. So that's 4, and I just square across like that. And then the next step, 1 to 5, is nape to waist measurement. Okay, so on the back again, so 1 to 5, and check my nape to waist. Nape to waist is 39.5, so I know that from there to there is 20, from there to there is 20, so I just take off 0.5, and that's 39.5, and that's my waistline. We need to add anything onto that. Let me just check. No. And then we're going to square that across as well. And that'll go all the way across the block to our centre front line. Don't think I've mentioned that when you draft, if you're new to this, when you draft a block, you only draft half. You only draft from centre front to centre back, because technically we're the same on both sides. We ever so slightly differ, but in theory we're the same on each side. And then the next step is 5 to 7, which is the waist to hip measurement, and that is 20 centimetres. So just going to mark down 20 and then square across. And that is 7, and this is 8, and this one was 6. Okay. Right, now we're going to get, so that's built the block, that's built this rectangle that we're going to work within. So now we're going to actually put some details in. So the next step is 1/5 of the next size, so 0 to 9. So along this top line, we're going to find 9, and that is 1/5 of the next size minus 0.2 centimetres. So we have a neck measurement of 37. I'm going to divide that by 5. 37 divided by 5 is 7.4, and then we're going to minus 0.2, so that means it's 7.2. You've got calculations that you need to work out. It's always a good idea to keep them on here, so because I know that I'm going to need this again at some point. That's 9. And then we can draw in our neckline, and I'm going to use that curve on the inside of my pattern master to do that. There we go. It's a bit, okay, you should try and make sure that you have a right angle coming off your any centre lines, because you don't want to end up with a point when it's folded out. So if you mirror that, you need to make sure that it is actually a straight line across the centre of it. There we go, that's a better line, isn't it? There we go. Next step, 1 to 10 is 1/5 of the armhole depth measurement minus 1 centimetre. Okay, so that's quite a lot of complicated things. So 1 to 10, so I find 1, 10 is this way, and it's 1/5 of the armhole depth measurement, which was 22. So 22 divided by 5. No. 22 divided by 5 is 4.4. And then minus 0.2, so 4.2. Okay. And then we're going to square across the block. And then 9 to 11 is the shoulder length plus a centimetre. So 11 will hit this line that I've just drawn. So my shoulder length is 12.75, so we need 13.75. And so what we do is we put 0 on the 9, and then you're going to just move it around. If your line isn't long enough here, then bring it out a bit further. But you're going to put 0 on there, and then you're going to find 13.75, which is there. Okay, if it was shorter, if it was only 10.5, it would be like that. So 0, and then it was wherever 10.5 would hit there. Okay, and that is 11. So that's my shoulder line. And then you're going to draw that shoulder line in. Okay, and then 2 to 12, so we now need, that's going to be the shoulder line. Now we need to work out where the back is going to sit. So the next point is 2 to 12 is half the back width measurement plus a centimetre ease. So 12 is along this line, 2 to 12. So back width, what's her back width measurement? Have I got a cross back? Cross back is 34. So half of 34 is 17. And then we've got to add on a centimetre. So it's there, and then we're going to square up. Until it hits that line that came from 10. And that is 13. And then 14 is half that distance. So instead of measuring that line and working out what half of that measurement is, it's actually easier to use this centre point and get the same amount on this side of that centre point as on that side. So it is literally just over 10, and that's 14. Okay, and then we're going to join that to 11 using that bit of curve, and that's the beginning of our armhole then. Okay, we'll come back to this bit in a moment because we're going to move on to the front neckline. So the front neckline is 1/5 of the neck measurement, so we wrote that up here. Okay, so that was 7.4 minus 0.7. So 7.4 minus 0.7. Oh no. .4 minus 0.7 is 6.7. That's more like it. And that is across here. So that is the side neck. So that's 6.7, which is there, and that is 15. And then 16 from 4 is your front neckline, and that is the 1/5 of the neck size minus 0.2, so that's 7.2. And then you can draw your neckline in. And that was 16. Okay, 15 to 17 is half the standard dart measurement. So I used the book to get a dart measurement, and we came up with 8.2. So half of that is 4.1. So we're going to go to there, and that is 17. Okay, and then we're going to leave that shoulder for the minute, and we're going to just work out the width across the chest. So we need to work out a similar line to this one, but for the front. So we have 3 to 18 is half the chest measurement plus 1 centimetre. So across chest is 36. So that is 18 is half. And then plus 1 centimetre, so it's 19. And we're going to square up like that. And then 18 to 19, so 19 is here, so it's a bit of like a similar point to 14. 19 is half the measurement 3 to 16, so it's half of this one minus 2 centimetres. So we have 17.5. So that means it would be 15.5. No, sorry, 17.5. So what have we got? Sorry. So the next step, once we've done the neckline, we found this. So this is point 18. And then 18 to 19 is half the measurement of 3 to 16. So the measurement from 3 to 16, what I'm going to do to make my life easy, I'm going to just find the half using the centre point. So that's 8 3/4 would be half. And then I need to minus 2. So that means it'll be 6 3/4. That's where 19 is. Just write that on the inside rather than the out. And then 20, 3 to 20 is half the measurement of 3 to 18. So again, find the centre point between 3 and 18, which is there. And then we're going to join that to 15 to create a dart. And we're going to join that to 17 as well. Okay, so that is the dart in there. And when we could close that to create suppression in the block so that it creates around the bust shape. Then 11 to 21. Right, now we need to do the shoulder. So 11 to 21. So we're going to use 11 and we're going to square down. And 21 is 1.5 below. And then we're going to join that to 17. That's 21. And then we're going to measure 9 to 11. Which is 14, and we're going to make that shoulder 0.5 centimetre shorter because we want a bit of ease in the back of that just to create shape around the shoulder. So that is 22. And then we're going to join that to 19. And then the last bit is just get this bottom armhole shape and find where your side seam's going to sit. So we're going to find the midpoint between 12 and 18. So, which is approximately, well, it is there. And then we need to move that back by 0.5 cent, or by a centimetre, sorry. So that is going to be our side seam. You always set your side seam ever so slightly back from the actual halfway point. Okay, and that's 24. And then we've got 25, and down the bottom we've got 26. Okay, and then the last bit is to get these angles. So if you watch my video about the Pattern Master, I explained about getting a 45-degree line. So where these cross over, see we've got a 90-degree and a 45-degree. So to get that 45-degree angle off this piece of the armhole, you bring it along, and then if you get that line in line here, and then just where that 10 is, you can draw a line that bisects that 90 degrees into two halves, 45 and 45. And then you're going to measure out, just bear with me, you're going to measure out 3 centimetres. I think actually 2.5 would be okay with this size. And then we're going to do exactly the same on that side. I'm going to do 2.5 there as well. And they're guides, so if my line doesn't hit that, then if it comes out a bit further, I'm okay with it. I just want to, there we go. And then this one, come around like that, and then we've got a really nice armhole shape. Okay, and that is the basic block done. The last thing I'm going to do is just get the length right for the garment that we're actually making for this person. So we have a back length of 62. So I'm actually going to use my metre rule for this, just to make my life a bit easier. And we're going to go from 1 and we're going to go down. Oh, it's not far off the hip line, so we're going to go down to there, which is 62. And then I'm going to square that across. Hold my pattern over for a minute. So we're going to square that across this way to the front. Don't feel that's completely straight, so I'm just going to use there we go, and then square down here, and then I'm going to drop it down another centimetre at the front, just so that it's got a bit of room for going over the front shape of the body. And then that will go back to nothing at the side seam. So extend 26 down. I'm going to do that. There we go. And that's the bottom edge done. And that is our master pattern for our basic block for this person. Okay, the next step would be to add on a button stand, design lines. So I know that I want to move the side seam over, I need to put another seam in, I need to put a dog leg on the back so that there's a pleat at the back, I need to draft a sleeve, and I need to move this dart into the armhole. Okay, in the next video I will show you how to do the sleeve, and maybe at some stage I'll show you all the other adaptations as well. But hopefully this has been of interest to you, hopefully it's been useful for you. If you're enjoying this video, please subscribe to my channel, and thank you very much for watching.